I would like to actually begin tonight by asking you a question. So put on your thinking caps. So the question is, of the five senses, which sense is most important to you? Is it your hearing? Is it your vision? Is it your sense of smell? Is it your sense of touch? Or is it taste? So what I'm going to try to do is, I don't know if this is going to work, but I will try to create a poll and see if I can post the poll here. So just give me a moment and see if I can post this poll here. Okay, so the poll is posted, and we're going to give it just maybe 15, 20 seconds. So go ahead and put your answer into the poll. It's anonymous, so don't worry about that. Okay, great. So I'm getting mainly responses related to vision. One person said touch. Okay, great. So again, the answers are still trickling in, but the predominant answer is vision. And that's probably why you're here today, is because you value your eyesight and you want to learn what you can do to be proactive about it. So, I'm going to close the poll right now. Now, the next question, well, before I get to the next question, I do want to just mention that, in terms of vision, many of us take our eyesight for granted. We just wake up and assume we'll be able to see clearly and confidently. We'll be able to read, we'll be able to use a device, be able to cook for ourselves or clean, be able to enjoy beauty of nature or be able to work or drive. And most importantly, be able to see the faces of our loved ones. But unfortunately, sometimes things always don't go to plan. And some people do wake up with not ideal vision. Maybe they've woken up with some blurriness or some parts of their vision that are missing or lost. So vision is really precious, and we really need to be aware of that and do whatever is necessary to take care of our vision, again, to be proactive about our eyesight. So the second question is, are you doing whatever it takes to protect and preserve your vision? So how many people, just put this into the chat. I don't have a poll question for this, but you can just put it into the chat. If you feel like you're currently doing everything you need to do to be proactive about your vision. I'm just curious to know what you think, because there's a lot of layers to this. There are some layers which are simply going to your eye doctor every year, getting your annual eye checkup. Other parts to this question include nutrition and lifestyle, supplements perhaps, and perhaps if you have been diagnosed with an eye condition, taking care of that eye condition, doing whatever you can to optimize your vision, following your doctor's recommendations. So Anisha is saying, think I can do more, I'm sure, would like to learn what else. Okay, so again, that's why you're here today, because there is a lot you can learn. It's not just a simple, eat your carrots and your vision will be great for the rest of your life. It's not as straightforward as that. And that's really why I wanted to offer this webinar, is to give you more insights into some of the other things you can do to, again, preserve your vision and be proactive for not just the years ahead, but decades ahead. So with that, prevention is key. We do so much for our health, whether it's cardiovascular health. We exercise, we try to eat right, we try to watch our blood pressure, whether it's for prevention of cancers, we get our regular colonoscopies or mammograms, or maybe it's going to the dentist and taking care of your teeth. We do all of these different things for our health, but very few of us are actually so proactive about our eye health. And this really reminds me of the quote from Benjamin Franklin, who said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." So when it comes to eye disease, whether it's something like glaucoma or cataracts or macular degeneration, once it already develops, many of these eye conditions are not reversible. The goal is to really prevent them before they happen. So don't wait until it happens. Do something now so it won't happen in the future. That's really my motto when it comes to taking care of vision. So for those of you who don't know me very well, or maybe this is your first time meeting me, I'll give you just a brief introduction into who I am and my background. So my name is Dr. Ronnie Banck. My full name is Rudrani Banck. and I'm a board certified ophthalmologist. I've also done fellowship training in neuro-ophthalmology, which is the connection between the brain and the eyes. And I'm also an associate professor of ophthalmology at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. So I have a private practice in New York, but I also teach in the hospital. I teach residents, I teach medical students, I teach fellows. So I try to pass along this information to future generations of eye doctors. It's really, really important to me to share this information in that way, so that they can then take care of their patients and also help them promote and protect their vision. I also do clinical studies in neuro-ophthalmology, so I run clinical trials as part of my academic position at Mount Sinai. And I've been doing this for a long time. I may date myself here, but I've been doing ophthalmology or working in ophthalmology for over 25 years. So I do have a lot of experience. I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, which gives me perspective on vision health. Now, in addition to my training in ophthalmology, I'm also dually trained in functional and integrative medicine, which is really based in a very holistic approach to health. It's based in nutrition, lifestyle, modification, mindset, stress management, botanical supplements, and basically a lot of what I do when it comes to eye health is layering in all of those different things. So it's not just, okay, you have glaucoma, let's treat you with eye drops, or you have a cataract, let's go ahead and do your eye surgery. It's, what can we do to optimize your vision and really merge the best of both worlds, traditional ophthalmology with a holistic, integrative, and a functional approach. And so I do believe it's really, really important to blend it all together. It's not all or nothing. It's really the combination of both that is most important for vision health. Now, I've been fortunate to have been featured on a lot of media channels, on television, radio, podcasts, et cetera. And my goal is really to spread this message that I mentioned earlier, that vision is a priceless gift that should not be taken for granted. We need to all be proactive. And, when I was training, I actually went through 13 years of training to become an ophthalmologist. Not once did I receive education in prevention, not once. So it really wasn't until well into my career that I became aware of the importance of some of these approaches. It wasn't until about 8 years ago that I realized the importance of diet and about lifestyle. So this is something that is something that I want to share with not just you, but also my colleagues in ophthalmology and optometry to help teach them what is it that they should be counseling their patients on? What is it that they should be telling their patients to do for their vision health? So, so hopefully you're getting today a sneak peek into what I share. I will be sharing with a lot more of my colleagues going forward. Now let's get to the topic that is about the webinar today, which is the top 3 vision issues that tend to occur after age 40 and what you can do about them. So our eyes, I'm going to show you my eye model right here. And so hopefully you can see this here. The eye is really, it's very complex. It's a small organ. It's only about the size of a golf ball, but the eye has over 40 different working parts. And so what we see when we look at someone's eye is really just the front part of the eye. We see the cornea, the colored part of the eye, which is the iris. We see the pupil, and we see some of the white part of the eye, the sclera. But there's a lot going on behind the eye. And also, if I open up the eye here, there's a lot going on the inside of the eye. So as we get older, there are various conditions that can affect various different structures of the eye. So what I'm going to be talking about today is one condition that can affect the front of the eye, one condition that can affect the middle part of the eye, and another condition that can affect or tends to affect the back of the eye. So we'll kind of go through the entire eye, but I'm pointing out today 3 specific conditions. There are many, many more conditions other than what I'm going to be talking about today. But what I'm sharing with you is probably the top 3, the most common of all of these many, many eye conditions that can happen as people get older. So again, keep this in mind. The eye is really complex. We're just basically scratching the surface with what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So let's get right to it. Let's get to our first eye condition that tends to happen after age 40. So what I thought I would do is I would share with you some of my patient stories to really to illustrate some of the issues that people face and some of the symptoms that they have, what their workup entails, and then also how we manage that, or how I manage that using, again, an integrative approach. So let's talk about vision issue number one. So this is my patient. Her name is Susie. Sorry, I'm just putting away my eye model for a second. She is 52 years old. She's very healthy. But lately, she's been noticing that her eyes don't feel comfortable. They are burning, and they're burning so much that she has a lot of difficulty keeping her eyes open. In addition, she has a lot of light sensitivity, particularly on bright, sunny days. She has trouble driving because the light is just so, so bright. And what's happened is because of all of these symptoms that she's had, she has turned to wearing her sunglasses most of the time. So I know she's not wearing them in this photograph because now she's actually better after some of the treatment that we've done together. But she began wearing her sunglasses, not just in the car when she's driving, but even indoors because her eyes were so, so uncomfortable. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Susie. So on her exam, now what I'm going to show you on the left, the photograph on the left, is the front part of the eye. And during the exam, we look at the front part of the eye under the microscope. And we use a dye. Many of you, if you've had an eye exam, you've probably had this dye put in. It's a fluorescent dye. It's called fluorescein. It's a water-soluble dye. It's very, very safe. And basically, we put the dye in, use a blue light, and we can see the surface of the eye and how smooth the surface of the eye is. The surface of the eye here is the cornea. That's what we're looking at with the dye. We're looking at how healthy the cornea is. And on my eye model, the cornea is on the very, very front part of the eye. So if I remove this structure here, it's clear, it's transparent, it's dome-shaped. This is the cornea. And again, it's right in the very, very front part of the eye. So this is what, on the picture on the left, is what a healthy cornea should look like. The photograph on the right is what Susie's cornea looked like. So you can see that there are these greenish dots throughout the cornea. What these dots represent are areas on the surface of the eye. And this is a classic finding in a patient who has dry eye. So this is what I saw in her exam. And so her diagnosis, Susie's diagnosis, is dry eye. And so let me talk a little bit about dry eye and what it is and what causes it. So dry eye is actually a condition. It's an eye condition that's very, very common across the globe. It's estimated that at least 50 million people have dry eye. It does tend to happen as people get older, so 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. However, it can also happen sometimes in children. Dry eye does tend to be more common in women, and I'll explain why in just a few minutes, but it can also be seen in men. And in terms of what's actually happening with dry eye, well, think of it like the analogy is dry skin. You know, when your skin dries out, the surface layer dries out. And there's just not enough moisture, not enough lubrication, and the surface gets very irritated. And so basically in dry eye, the cornea, the surface of the cornea dries out, and the tears that normally lubricate the cornea are not sufficient to provide an adequate lubrication to the front part of the eye. So that's dry eye. Now, what are some of the common symptoms? Well, one of the symptoms she experienced was burning. So burning is a very, very common symptom of dry eye. Also irritation or a scratchy, gritty, or sandy sensation, like you have something in your eye that just won't come out, like a grain of sand or pebbles that are in your eye. And many people who have dry eye, they want to rub their eyes because they just feel like there's something in there, or they try to wash out their eyes, maybe with some water or saline, because they feel this discomfort inside the eye. So these are some common symptoms. Also, patients with dry eye may experience redness or even eyelid swelling or eyelid redness. So this can be very commonly seen in dry eye. Now, another common symptom of dry eye is blurry vision. And one key feature of blurry vision when it's from dry eye, when it's secondary to dry eye, is that the blurry vision comes and goes. So it may not be there all the time. So it could be that certain times of the day things are blurry. Other times of the day, things are better, they're more clear. Or if you blink a few times, vision clears up. Or maybe if you take a hot shower, or if you're in a humid environment, things may get better. So the blurriness with dry eye comes and goes. It's not something that would be there for the full day or even a week or a month. That is, if you have blurry vision, that's not from dry eye. There must be something else going on. So again, dry eye is intermittent and transient. And then another very, very common symptom of dry eye. Now, this is sometimes a little bit contradictory. People have a little trouble kind of getting their heads around this, but many people with dry eye actually have tearing. And the reason why they may even have tears kind of like coming down their cheek, like you see in this photograph here. So why, if the eye is dry, then why is it tearing? Well, it's because when the surface of the eye dries out, the nerves send a signal to the eyelid gland, the lacrimal gland right here underneath the bone, to help it produce extra tears. So the surface dries out, there's a neural signal that gets sent to the lacrimal gland to produce extra tears. So the tear glands overproduce tears in response to the dryness. So the goal here is, if you're having a lot of tearing, along with some of the other symptoms, and if you do have dry eye, treat the dryness, and then your tearing will improve. So that's really, really important to understand and remember, that is dry eye can cause tearing. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Susie. So I saw in her exam that her cornea was very, very dry. And then I looked at her eyelids. And in all of our eyelids, just by where the eyelashes come out, there are these tiny little dots. Now, you may have noticed them if you look very closely in a mirror. You may have noticed these tiny little dots along the eyelids. Those are your glands. Those are called meibomian glands, or MGs. And these glands produce oils that help to lubricate the eye. So when I looked at Susie's glands, now in the photograph, you can't see fully her lashes, but they're down here. This is just on the inside of her lashes, on the inside of the waterline. You see that there are these yellowish deposits here. So these are her glands, but they're not healthy. They're plugged up. They're plugged up with unhealthy oils. And so, and there's also inflammation going on here. So you see these tiny little blood vessels here. This is due to inflammation. So Susie has something called meibomian gland dysfunction. So this is the root cause of her dry eye, or one of the root causes of her dry eye, is her meibomian glands are not working properly. They're inflamed. And they're not secreting oils properly. And because they're not secreting oils properly, that's why her eyes are dry, or in part why her eyes are dry. Now, in addition to this, Susie had another issue with her eyelid glands. So in my office, as part of root cause medicine, I also look at the structure of the glands. I have a special camera that's an infrared camera, and it can actually image the glands. So you see here, the image on the left is somebody with healthy eyelid glands. You see all those whitish kind of projections, they look like fingers. Those are actually glands filled with oils. And so the picture on the left, the photograph on the left, is someone with healthy oils, healthy glands with producing healthy oils. Now on the right is what Susie's glands look like. So you can see that she's missing some of her glands. She has a gap right here. Some of these other glands are very, very short. They're not normal length. And then she's missing some glands on the inside as well. Normally we have about 25 to 30 glands in each eyelid. So upper and lower, 25 to 30 in each. So she's missing some of her glands. So not only does she have gland congestion, gland blockage, inflammation, she also has loss of glands. And what I'll tell you is that once people lose their eyelid glands, they don't grow back. You cannot grow them back. So they're lost forever. And so there is some process going on with Susie whereby not only does she have blocked glands, she also has glands that are dying off. They're actually, in medical terms, we call that atrophy. So they're atrophying. And so I delved a little bit further into this with her, and it turned out that Susie was also going through menopause at the time. She's 52. And so with menopause, there come hormonal changes. There are changes in estrogen levels, progesterone levels, testosterone levels. And so sometimes those changes can cause glands to dysfunction and perhaps even die off. So this is something that she's, again, experienced as she's gotten older, but really more prominently in her 50s with menopause. Now, so how did I manage Susie? Well, first of all, we did her root cause analysis. We figured out that she's got meibomian gland dysfunction. She also has some gland loss, and she also has some hormonal issues associated with menopause. So the first line of therapy was to treat her dry eye aggressively with lubricating drops. Now, drops are really the first line. They're the mainstay of dry eye therapy. Because her dry eye was so severe in the beginning, we started off with every 2 hours. And I also had her do hot compresses to help to loosen the oils and get those glands producing or flowing healthy oils again, so the oil glands don't get plugged up. And so I had her do hot compresses with an eye mask that I love. It's called Bruder, Bruder. It's a compress that you can put into the microwave for about only 10 or 15 seconds. It heats up, then you can put that on your eyes for about 5 minutes, and it can be really very soothing. It helps. It's almost like doing a massage for your eyelids. You do the hot compress, and then you do a little bit of massage, almost like going to the spa for your eyelids. So she started off doing that. She was better. I would say she told me she was about 60% better. So she wanted to kind of take her treatment up a notch. And so next what we did was I put her on an omega supplement. So not just any omega supplement, but there are many different types of omega supplements out there. There's omega-3s, there's omega-6s, 7s, and 9s. So I put her on a complete omega supplement. And so these omegas have been studied for dry eye. And so we started her on that. And so she did that for 3 months. And I also talked to her about diet. Again, nutrition is so, so important for all kinds of eye disease, but also specifically for dry eye. So we talked about how she can boost her omega intake through diet, through certain animal products, as well as through certain seeds, and also some specific fruits and vegetables. So that helped her as well. And then finally, to kind of wrap up her treatment, we did a LipiFlow treatment, which is an in-office treatment for those glands that are blocked, really to reset the glands, to get them flowing healthy oils again. So she did all of that over the course of several months. And after about 6 months, she was feeling much, much better. So that was a way that a method of using traditional ophthalmology with more holistic approaches to really address the problem, which was her eyelid glands and her hormones. So if any of you are interested, so the Bruder eye mask is what it looks like. I have one. I didn't keep it handy for today, but I have one at home as well. And the supplement I put her on was a supplement in my supplement line called Soothe, which is a complete omega blend, 3, 6, 7, and 9. And if you're interested in that, I can have my assistant just put the link into the chat so you can learn a little bit more about this combination. I offer it as a bundle, a dry eye bundle. So you get 3 months of Soothe plus the Bruder eye mask, which is reusable. You can probably have it last for about 2 or 3 years. It's really amazing if you have dry eye. So again, I'll have my assistant put that into the chat, the link for that. Great. So now let's move on here. So that was issue number 1 after 40. Now, let's talk about vision issue number 2. So this is Monica, another one of my patients. She is 43 years old, also very, very healthy. She never in her whole life, never had any vision issues. She never wore glasses. But all of a sudden, it seemed like when she hit her 43rd birthday, she could not focus up close. She was trying to read. She had a really hard time focusing. She felt like she was getting headaches all the time. And the other thing is most of her work was on a computer, on a screen, like many of us spend many hours a day on a screen. So she was really having a hard time shifting from a distance focus to her screen to maybe using her phone. She was having a really, really difficult time. And she just could not read the small text on her phone anymore. She said, it's impossible. I just can't make out numbers and characters, et cetera. So it's really becoming very problematic for her. So what's going on with Monica is that she has a condition known as presbyopia, which is what we see here with this woman. She is holding her phone way, way, way out here. So I like to call presbyopia my arms aren't long enough syndrome, because eventually you keep holding things further and further away to the point where even if you hold it at, full arm's length, it's still not clear. So let's talk a little bit about this presbyopia. What is it? What's going on here? What can you do for it? So presbyopia is difficulty focusing at near. Again, it's a medical term, and near objects are blurry. So not just reading, but if you look at anything up close, like if you're trying to look at, let's say you're trying to cut something small, it may be quite blurry. If you're trying to look at your dashboard in your car, that may be blurry. Or threading a needle, for example, any kind of near task is blurry. And so what is the cause of this? What's happening here? Well, this is going on inside of the eye. And I remember I told you I would talk about various different vision problems from the front of the eye to the back of the eye. So what's going on here, and I'm just going to remove some of these structures because this is the iris, the colored part. This is the lens inside the eye. So just like we wear glasses we may wear glasses that have a power to them, the lens inside the eye is like the glasses inside your eye. Now you don't see it because it's on the inside and there are many structures in front of it. So you don't necessarily see it. It sits behind your pupil, but this lens, now in my eye model here, this lens is plastic, it's clear, but in real life, it's clear, but it is dynamic. The lens can change its shape. And so depending on what we're looking at, whether we're looking at something far away or something at intermediate distance or something up close, the lens will change its shape to help us focus at different distances. Now, this diagram here is a cross-section of the eye. And what it's showing you basically is when we're looking at something at distance, the lens here in the middle becomes a little bit thinner. But when we're looking at something up close, the closer something is, the thicker the lens becomes in the middle. So it changes focus by changing its shape. And as we get older, this lens starts to become more stiff. And when it becomes stiff, that's when we're not able to, sorry, I'll go back one second, over here. When it becomes stiff, because the proteins are changing inside the lens, we're not able to focus up close. Now, this problem is actually very, very common. I'm going to switch over here. If you think about as people get older, there are certain things that happen in life, gray hairs, for example, or wrinkles. Presbyopia is one of those things that most people develop during their lifetime. And I would say it's almost 100% if you're old enough. So most people, by the time they're in their 70s, 60, late 60s, 70s, almost everyone has presbyopia to a certain extent. It is part of the natural aging process. So it's not something necessarily pathologic. It is part of the natural aging process. And it's estimated, now this is probably an underestimate, but it's estimated that 1.3 billion people in the world as of 2020 have presbyopia, and many of them don't have access to medical care or eye care. So many of them go uncorrected. They're not able to see clearly up close. And in terms of age range, about 60% of people over the age of 40 have presbyopia, and the average age of onset is about 40 to 42. So Monica was 43 when she developed her symptoms of presbyopia. For me, I'll share with you, when I was in my 40s, about 44, 45 is really when presbyopia started to affect me as well. So everyone gets it at a certain point in their life. So how did I manage Monica? Well, unfortunately, when it comes to presbyopia, I really wish that there was something like diet or a supplement or a lifestyle hack that could reverse the symptoms of presbyopia. Unfortunately, at least to this date, there isn't. There's no magic eye drop that you can take that will make presbyopia go away or make the lens more malleable. As of today, there is nothing that can help to reverse it once it's happened. But there are many ways to manage it. And so the way that we chose to manage Monica's presbyopia is I actually checked her glasses prescription. She actually did need, even though she never wore glasses before, she did need something for distance. So we ended up, she didn't like glasses or wearing progressives or bifocals. So we ended up doing something called modified monovision contact lenses. And that worked really, really well for her. She was very, very comfortable with that, both for distance as well as for reading and the computer. And the other thing is, because she was spending hours and hours and hours looking at the same distance at the computer screen all day long, I talked to her about the 2020 rule, which is basically something we talk about in ophthalmology. 2020, we think of as perfect vision, but the 2020 rule is every 20 minutes, set a timer on your device, phone, whatever, but every 20 minutes, take a break, take a 20-second break. Just close your eyes, let your eyes get lubricated by your eyelids, by your oil glands, or look away, look out the window, look at something far, far away. That's the 2020 rule. So every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break. Okay, so that's true for not just people with presbyopia, but for everyone, even people with dry eye, they should be following the 2020 rule. So in addition to that, I talked to Monica about some hacks that she can do on her devices and some apps that she can use on her phone to help with presbyopia. And finally, we adjusted her lighting. So she was very, very happy with, with these interventions, and it really allowed her to gain back her function. So she was really very, very comfortable, again, spending hours a day on a screen with some of these interventions. So in addition to what I talked to Monica about, there are actually some newer options for presbyopia, which are really high tech. And some of them are surgeries that can be done for presbyopia, but I wouldn't recommend jumping into doing any kind of surgery. I'm much more conservative when it comes to that. In terms of how I manage my patients, I would prefer that they try to optimize their vision using other means before jumping to surgery. The other thing that many people may consider for presbyopia is there is an eye drop that is FDA approved for presbyopia. It is a prescription eye drop, so it's not something you can just go to your local drugstore and purchase. You do need a prescription for it from your eye doctor. But basically, it helps to improve your depth of focus. It helps you again have more depth when it comes to switching from distance to the computer to reading. And just be aware that this drop is not covered by insurances. It is an out-of-pocket expense. And also the drop can have some side effects and potential risks. So just talk to your doctor about that if you're interested about this. You may have even seen ads about this drop on television because there was a major ad campaign that was done when it first came out a couple of years ago. All right, so now let's move on here. The third vision issue I'm going to talk to you about is illustrated by my patient, Paul. So Paul here is an architect. He is always working on his screen, drafting, etc. He's 58 years old. He's also very healthy. All my patients from today's talk happen to be very, very healthy, which is great. But he's on screens about 10 to 12 hours a day. He complains of blurry vision, and he's also extremely light sensitive. But however, unlike Susie, my first patient, he doesn't have this scratchiness, irritation, burning redness. He is just very, very light sensitive from the screen. And it's really become problematic. It's interfering with his ability to work. It's giving him headaches. It's giving him migraine. So he came to see me because he wanted some kind of solution for this. He didn't really know what to do. He'd been to see about 2 or 3 other eye doctors before, and he wasn't really feeling comfortable with what they had recommended. So he was seeking out another solution. So what we did was I talked to him about his lifestyle. He is on the screen many hours a day, like many of us are. There was a really interesting study done by Scientific American. This was published, I think it was 2014 or 2015. And they asked adults in the US how much time they spend on their digital devices. So I just like to know in the chat. Sorry, so someone's asking for the volume to be increased, which I can try to do. Let's see. Is that a little bit better? Can you hear me now? I just turned up my volume here a little bit. Okay, so just put into the chat, what do you think? How many hours does the average adult in the US spend on a screen? So is it 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, more? You can put in your own number if you want. Just take a guess. What do you think? Okay, so we have 10 hours, 8 hours. Anyone else want to take a guess? 4 hours? Okay. All right. So 6 hours. Okay. So The results from this poll were really shocking. They were really, really, I mean, I was so surprised when I saw this. 10 hours and 39 minutes for the average US adult on a screen. Now, this was again a couple of years back. This was actually before the pandemic, before we were all doing Zoom all day long and working from home and doing school from home. So this is even before then. So think about now what those numbers must look like, if they redid this poll. But that's a lot. 10 hours, 39 minutes on a screen is quite a bit of time. So what my patient was experiencing, what he was experiencing was eye strain and light sensitivity from being on a screen for hours at a time. So we call this, in the eye care world, we call this digital eye strain. And it's not just one symptom, one condition. It's actually a constellation of symptoms. So it's a combination of dry or itchy eyes, watery eyes, tired eyes, blurred vision. Some people get headaches, like my patient did. Neck pain and even back pain can be associated with digital eye strain. So most of us are probably at risk because we're spending a lot of time on screens. Even children are at risk. I've seen a lot of kids who, especially in middle schoolers, high schoolers who are just on screens for everything these days, including their schoolwork. And they really, the screen time can take a toll on people's eyes. So if you think about the root causes of eye strain, there are three root causes. And sometimes it's a combination of all three. Dry eye, which we talked about already, prescription or an incorrect prescription for up close, which we briefly talked about with Monica, my last patient. And then the third part of eye strain is light sensitivity, which is really what Paul had. So let's talk a little bit about light. So the light that comes from your screen, it does have different wavelengths, but one wavelength that's prominent is blue light, which is short wavelength, high energy light. And this type of light comes from all of our devices. The good news is it doesn't damage our vision permanently. There's no evidence that blue light will cause permanent vision loss or blindness or anything like that, but it can have some health effects. It can cause sleep disruption. It can affect your circadian rhythm. It can contribute to eye strain, which is what we're talking about with this case study, and it can trigger light sensitivity. So if you think about blue light, I mentioned it comes from so many different sources. The sun is the largest emitter of blue light, but after sunset, even though the sun has stopped emitting blue light, we still get lots of blue light from our devices, whether it's a television screen, a laptop, a desktop, even the lights that we now use in our homes. Fluorescent lights, compact fluorescent lights that may save energy, emit a lot of blue light. Also, LED bulbs emit a lot of blue light, in contrast to incandescent bulbs, which emit very little blue light. Even regular overhead fluorescents, they also emit blue light, but LEDs, CFLs emit a lot of blue light. So we're constantly being bombarded by all of this blue light. And so it's very, very hard for people, especially when their work relies on being on a screen all day, to manage the blue light. But what I will tell you is, now this is really, really important, super important for everyone to realize this right now. The best way to protect against blue light coming from your devices is to boost your eyes' natural blue blockers. Nature is amazing. We have nutrients that are deposited in the back of the eye. Now, I told you I would talk about the back of the eye, so let me do that right now. I'll pull out my eye model again. So remember, this was the front of the eye. This here is the back of the eye. So this orange here represents the back of the eye, the blood vessels, and the retina in the back of the eye. Now, in the back of the eye, there's this yellow spot. I don't know if you can see it there, but there's this yellow spot. This is called the macula. And the macula is the part of the back of the eye that gives us our high resolution 20/20 vision. So that's responsible for that. If your macula is not healthy, you're not going to be able to see 20/20 vision. So going back to what I was saying earlier, these nutrients are absorbed by the body. We can't make these nutrients, but they're called macular carotenoids. They get deposited right here in the back of the eye, in the macula, and they protect us from within. So they serve as our internal blue blockers, our internal sunglasses. They're very, very powerful nutrients that are antioxidants. And there's three of them. So there's three of these macular carotenoids, and you Oh my goodness, I dropped my eye model. I apologize for that. There are 3 macular carotenoids. You may have heard of them. Some of them are difficult to pronounce, but I'll pronounce them for you. One is lutein. Next is zeaxanthin. And then the third one is mesozeaxanthin. So this image here is an image of the retina in the back of the eye. Here's the optic nerve. This is actually, sorry. This is actually not the macula. This is the macula right here. And you can't see it here in this picture, but at the very, very center, there's a yellow dot. And that's where these nutrients are deposited. So there are numerous studies that have shown that if you have a diet with a high intake of lutein, zeaxanthin, that you will have less eye strain. So really, in my opinion, it is the best way to protect against blue light, not blue blocking glasses. I'm not talking about external blue blockers. I'm talking about internal blue blockers. So the goal is to try to increase your intake of these nutrients through foods, and also, if you need, via a supplement. So what did we do for Paul? So first of all, I checked his glasses prescription, and it turned out that he did not have the correct prescription for the computer and for reading. So we adjusted his glasses. I gave him a new prescription for what we call computer progressives for work. I talked to him about the 20-20 rule. Again, every 20 minutes, set your timer, take a 20-second break. I talked to him about diet. I told him about which foods are important to increase your intake of macular carotenoids to help improve eye strain. And then finally, I put him on a supplement that's designed for blue light and eye strain, which is Fortify. That's one of the supplements in my line. So I'll just show you. This is Fortify, and I designed it specifically to have all 3 macular carotenoids. So it does have, not all eye supplements have all 3 macular carotenoids. Most of them only have 2, but Fortify has all 3. So lutein, zeaxanthin, mesozeaxanthin. It also has a couple of extra things. It has something called astaxanthin, which is also a very powerful antioxidant. It comes from red algae. It's been studied for all kinds of things, from cognition to skin health. It's an anti-aging antioxidant, so you can think of it as like anti-aging for your eyes and your whole body. Fortify also has a specific form of vitamin E, which is called tocotrienol, which is also more potent than the regular vitamin E, and it has berry extract. So this formulation is designed specifically for eye strain, and it also helps with dry eye as well, because the berry extracts are helpful for that. So if you're interested in learning more about Fortify, I'm going to have my assistant put the link into the chat for Fortify so you can learn more about it. But you can also, if you have your phone handy, if you're not using your phone to watch the webinar, you can scan the QR code, and it will take you to the information website for Fortify. So, all right, so now, so we talked about 3 very important eye conditions in 3 different patients. So again, just to recap, we talked about dry eye, we talked about presbyopia, which is the difficulty focusing up close, and we talked about eye strain, specifically light sensitivity. So there's a lot that can be done for each of these issues, and basically what I shared with you are just some patient examples, but there are many, many other approaches that can be used to manage each of these different things. So it's not just what I talked about for my patients. There's a lot more that can be done to manage each of these 3 very, very common eye issues. And so what I would say is, if you have any of these eye issues, or you're just worried about your eyes as they get older and you want to keep them young and healthy, number one thing is to understand the root cause of the problem. Where is it coming from? What's the underlying issue? And to address the underlying issue. Don't just put a Band-Aid on the problem, but try to really understand why is it happening. And then you'll be able to better equip to decide what's the best option for you in conjunction with your eye doctor, whoever you work with on a one-to-one basis. Then the next thing that I would recommend is implement first-line strategies. So there are lots of things that you can do DIY. I mentioned a couple of them, but there's a lot that can be done that you don't necessarily need to be under an eye doctor's care to do. You can do it yourself. Lifestyle things, nutrition wise, supplement wise. There's lots of things you can do. And then if that's not effective, then move on to higher level strategies. And again, here you do need to work with an eye care provider. For example, my first patient, Susie, she tried a couple of things and she still wasn't fully 100% feeling comfortable. So we ended up doing LipiFlow treatment for her, which is really not first line, second line, but more of a third line approach to managing her dry eye. And that's really what finally made the big difference for her is the LipiFlow treatment. So move on to higher level strategies if you need to. And then finally, really, really keep this in mind, incorporate eye healthy diet and lifestyle choices into your life because they're so, so important. So now what I wanted to share with you next is, so last year I gave this webinar. Now it's going to be an annual webinar at the beginning of the year to get your year started right. And I also launched a course last year called Ageless Eyes by Dr. Rani. And so that course was really well received by the people who took it. We had a lot of fun together. So not only did they learn about eyes and keeping their eyes healthy, but the participants in the course, and some of you are actually you're here today as well. Some of you who took the course last year. So thank you for rejoining. But the course, basically I share in the course all the different layers of this, like everything you can possibly do for various different eye conditions to give you all the knowledge you need to make the best decisions for your eye health. So what I decided to do is I decided to revamp the course this year. So last year was Ageless Eyes. This year is Ageless Eyes 2.0. And so I'm offering it again. It's starting soon in a couple of weeks. And really this course is meant to address issues that come with age. So I talked about 3 today, but there's a lot more that can happen. Cataracts, floaters, macular degeneration, glaucoma. There's so many other eye issues that can happen as people get older. So the course is designed to really equip you with the knowledge that you need to help manage those various different aging eye issues. So for example, if you have trouble reading in dim light, if you have dry, scratchy, irritated eyes, if you're sensitive to light, these are just some of the things that can happen as we get older, some of the symptoms that also my patients had, but many people experience, not just, unique to them. So the goal is to really try to turn back the years on your eyes and help you seeing comfortably, clearly again, and confidently, maybe like you did when you were in your 20s. Hopefully you had good vision in your 20s, but so that's the goal. And so what I do in the course is I give you a roadmap to manage these vision challenges. The goal is, again, to have function. Function is the most important. So being able to see a menu clearly when you go to a restaurant, being able to drive, being able to read comfortably on a device, being able to see faces clearly of the friends and family that you spend time with, and also just enjoying youthful, healthy eyes. If you think about, many of you said vision was your most important sense. Think about like everything you can possibly do to improve your vision, keep your vision healthy. This course will equip you with the knowledge to do all of that, to keep your eyes ageless and youthful. So in the course, there are 3 modules. Every week we cover a different module. So week 1 is the dry eye solution, beyond just using over-the-counter drops. Week 2 is the presbyopia solution. So beyond just using reading glasses for up close. And week 3 is the light solution. So beyond blue blocking glasses. I gave you a couple of things that can be used, but there's a lot more that can be done for people who have these types of issues. Again, week 1, dry eyes, we talk about finding the root cause. So hormonal issues can be a root cause. The glands not working properly can be a root cause, but there are other root causes as well. For example, medications, lifestyle factors, autoimmune issues, other types of medical issues can sometimes lead to dry eye. So there's a lot of different underlying reasons why people may have dry eye. And so in this module, we go through that all and what your options are to reduce the symptoms like discomfort, scratchiness, redness, tearing, blurry vision, etc. In week 2, we talk about presbyopia. So the medical approaches to presbyopia, as well as the surgical approaches. Remember, I said surgery is not first line, but if someone really is interested in surgery, I do go over what are the options from a surgical perspective to help with presbyopia and improve reading. And then week 3, we talk about the light solution beyond blue blockers, how to reduce eye strain and fatigue, and light sensitivity. And also, there is a unique thing that I share here that how to use other wavelengths of light to try to promote healing of your eyes. To optimize your eyes' function and regenerative capability. So there's some really emerging evidence that that I share in that particular module. So okay, let's move on here. So the way the course is set up, Ageless Eyes, is there'll be a Zoom webinar on the Monday of every week. And usually the webinar is about 90 minutes. Sometimes it's a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, but on average 90 minutes. Then there'll be a Q&A session on the Friday of that week. This is about 60 minutes, and together we do some exercises, we do some group sharing, we talk about recipes. There's also contests in the course, so there are prizes that people can win through the contests in the course. So we had a lot of fun last year with these contests. I shared recipes. We, had a point system. People would make recipes, and then we would participants would compete with each other. So it was a lot of fun. And then also, as part of the course, you get exclusive resources. So you can get access to some of my other courses, some of my other resources, digital resources, and discounts on products, like, for example, the supplements. And then finally, as part of the course, you get to join the Ageless community, which is an online Facebook group that is a support group for everyone with various different problems, eye issues mainly, but sometimes even migraine. We can talk about other issues as well in that closed community. So feel free to share there. So that's what the course is about. In addition to that, the resources do include worksheets, self-assessments, product guides, checklists, and as I said earlier, recipes. So if you think about the value of the course, it really is priceless. It really will equip you with everything you need to know in terms of being proactive about your vision. So I do pour my knowledge into this course and share with you. So if you were to do this with me in my office, like on a one-on-one basis, it would take about 6 months to go through it all, go through all the information from the modules. The value for a one-on-one with me would be about $2,000. But because I'm offering this online, it's a group learning experience. It is $499. That's the price of the course. However, I do have an early bird special. If you're interested in taking the course, if you register by January 14th, the reduced rate is $249.50. So that's early bird pricing only until next Monday, I believe, sorry, it's next Sunday, January 14th is the last day to get it at that price. Otherwise, then the price will go up to $499. Now, there are also 2 bonus sessions as part of the course. One bonus session is the youthful solution. So in this module, I talk about some of the common cosmetic changes that happen to our eyes as we get older. So for example, dark circles, eyelid bags, eyelid droopiness or sags, fine lines, creases. So I go through what can happen and what are some approaches that you can use to manage that. A lot of these approaches are DIY. A lot of these are natural, based in natural products or solutions, not surgery necessarily, though I do explain about surgeries and procedures as well for people who are interested in that. So that's the youthful solution. That's the bonus module. And then the other bonus module is the ocular nutrition masterclass. This is something new. Last year, I did not offer this as part of Ageless Eyes, but this is the new and revised Ageless Eyes 2.0. So I'm offering the ocular nutrition masterclass. Now, in this masterclass, I do go through all the nutrients we need to keep our eyes healthy from the inside out to support all the 40 different structures of our eyes. And I also do go through the foods that are richest in those nutrients. So there are many, many foods that are rich in macular carotenoids, for example, and some of the other nutrients that are important for eye health. So that will be the Ocular Nutrition Masterclass. So sorry, this is the week 4 bonus, the youthful solution, and then the nutrition masterclass. So basically you'll learn, which foods are important for dry eye, for conditions like cataract prevention, eye strain, macular degeneration, glaucoma, etc. So, so this is the way the course is set up. There are, again, 4 weeks. So there's 3 core modules, 3 weeks of core modules, and then 1 week of bonus modules. And so if you look at the dates, the course is starting on Monday, January 22nd. So in about 2 weeks or so, we're going to have our first session. I haven't set the exact time yet, but it will probably be 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern is the time of the course for the Monday sessions. And then on Fridays, probably it will be a similar time frame. Again, I still have to set the exact time, but Mondays and Fridays, the Monday sessions are usually the didactic sessions, the webinar sessions, and then the Fridays are the interactive group sessions that, again, a lot of fun, again, contests, prizes, etc. So, so these are the dates. And I always get asked this question, what if I can't make those dates? What if I can't make that time? Can I still take the course? And what I tell people is everything is recorded and you will get access to a course portal. So you can log into your course portal, watch the replays as many times as you want. If you can't attend live. So let's say you're in a different time zone. Let's say you're across the world in Australia or Asia. You can still benefit from the course and learn from the course. Of course, I would love for you to participate live, but in case you can't, there are still options to get the information. So so this is, again, the course that is launching soon. And if you enroll now, I'm going to have my assistant put the link into the chat. Again, if you enroll with the early bird price, it's $249.50. And you can use the link right there. Remember, you have to, oh, I shouldn't say remember because I haven't told you yet, but in order to get this discounted price, you need to use the code Ageless. So let me show you what that will look like. So when you click on the link, that's just, if you want to try it right now, you don't have to pay anything, but just give it a try. Click on the link and you'll see this come up. This is the course portal. And so if you click register now, I just want to show you what it looks like so you know what to do exactly to get the discount. Over here, you'll see the price of the course, Ageless Eyes 2.0. It's $4.99. This is other information, your registration information. But before you do any of this, go here first and click coupon code. You see this on the bottom here. It says coupon code. So you're going to click that coupon code, and then there's going to be a place for you to put the coupon code Ageless. So put that in there, click apply, and then on the next screen, you'll see that there's 50% taken off. So this is the final cost right here, $249.50. And then you can go ahead and enter your information and your payment information as well. So, so that's how you would use the code. Make sure you use the code because guaranteed every time I talk about this, people forget to put the code and they get charged full price. And then, of course, we have to refund them if it's within the time frame. So in order to avoid that or getting charged full price, make sure you put in the discount code Ageless. Now, one thing about the course has limited capacity. It's only 100 participants per cycle. And so 100, I think the last count, there were a couple of hundred people who registered for the webinars. So most likely the course will sell out pretty quickly. So if you're interested, go ahead and reserve your spot. In the future, I may offer it again. I only offered it once last year, but going forward, I may offer it again. But if I offer it again, it's all going to be recorded. So for example, the webinar sections are not going to be live. They're going to be recorded. The group sessions will still be live. I'll still have that, but it's better to do it as a live interactive process. That's always my thought. Now, if you're a little bit concerned, like I'm not sure if this course is right for me, is it really going to help me? What I would say is you can consider trying it out. I do offer a money back guarantee. So there is a 5-day money back, no questions asked guarantee. So let's say you do the first module and you're not, you feel like the course is not right for you for whatever reason, you can just send us an email and we can share this with you if it ever comes to that, exactly what needs to be in the email, and then you will get your money refunded. So no questions asked, money back guarantee within 5 days of the first module. Again, enroll if you're interested, $249.50. I think the course is going to sell out pretty quickly. Use the link. And now what I'm going to do is I put the timer here. I know we're already over. I said we're going to go for an hour. It's already over an hour. I put a timer here for the questions section, but I think what I'll do is I'll just go through some of the questions. I did have some questions that were sent in earlier. And so I'll answer those first because we did get emailed a couple of questions, and then I'll try to answer as much as I can the questions that were put into the Q&A. So one question that was sent in was, I have trouble reading up close. Can I do eye exercises to help with that? Now, what I'll say is I really wish that there was an eye exercise that could reverse the changes that happen with the lens and presbyopia, but as unfortunately there is not. So eye exercises can be useful for certain eye conditions. For example, there are certain types of double vision in which eye exercises can be helpful. Eye strain, yes, eye exercises can be helpful, but to reverse presbyopia, unfortunately, it's not helpful. So I hate to say that, but that's the answer there. And please don't, I'm sure that there are people out there who will tell you otherwise, that yes, if you do these eye exercises, you can get rid of your reading glasses, et cetera, or your progressives. That's not always the case. So just be a little bit wary about that, yeah, there is no reversal, and there's no eye drops either that will reverse that. Now, another question I got asked was, what's the recommendation for blue blocking glasses? Should I get them? Should I not get them, et cetera? So what I would say is, this opens up a whole can of worms here, but it's something that I cover in Module 3. Blue blockers are not all made the same. And most ophthalmologists, optometrists will tell you, don't get blue blockers. They don't really do much. And it's true. Most blue blockers don't do much, but there are certain blue blockers that can be effective in certain situations. So my overall recommendation would be increase your dietary intake of your natural blue blockers, lutein, zeaxanthin, and see how you do with that first before investing in a pair of blue blocking glasses. That's my recommendation for that. Now, okay, so, all right, so let me answer some of the questions here. Okay. Okay, so Anisha is asking, are there studies or information or data on using NMN and NAD for eye and vision health? To my knowledge, no. I have not seen that, but that's not to say that there isn't literature out there that reports on that. So these supplements are used for many other reasons, but specifically for eye health, to my knowledge, there's no study that's looked at that. And then I think the second part of your question was, is there an eye microbiome? Yes. So this is something I cover in Module 1, where we talk about dry eye. We talk about the ocular surface microbiome. It's very, very important. And how to take care of the ocular surface microbiome. There are certain things that people can do to improve that. And then also, aside from the ocular surface microbiome, there's also the gut microbiome. And the gut microbiome is linked to eye health. I'm actually about to do a video on that for YouTube on the gut microbiome, and it's linked to ocular health. So stay tuned for that. It'll be on YouTube, posted to YouTube soon, I hope. But both the ocular surface microbiome and the gut microbiome need to be optimized for eye health. So I will now move on to, I know, Anisha, you asked a bunch of questions, but just to be fair, I'm going to answer some of the other questions people have put in here. Okay, so I have a question here. If one has been diagnosed with dry eyes that has been increasing in severity each year, There are no symptoms like eye strain, tearing, blurriness. Are there damages that may occur that are irreversible if left untreated with eye drops or other strategies? So what I would say is if your eye doctor is telling you that your dry eye is getting worse, then we need to really look into the root cause. Like, why is it getting worse? Is there an underlying medical condition? Could it be something like Sjogren's syndrome, which is an autoimmune condition? Could it be lupus? Could it be rheumatoid arthritis? Is there something else that's contributing to dry eye, even though you may not have the symptoms? So that's my first recommendation, is to explore something like that. But also, yes, chronic dry eye can cause issues on the cornea. It can cause scarring on the cornea. It can cause new blood vessel growth on the cornea. So it's not something that should be left treated. It definitely needs to be treated. Whether people have symptoms or not, it needs to be treated. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, so someone's asking about the fish oil supplement. So right now, the supplement that is part of my line is a fish oil-based supplement. It's a triglyceride form of the supplement that is easily absorbed. Now, I know some people may be vegetarian or vegan. So yes, in that case, you would probably choose an algal supplement over that. It's very hard to, there aren't that many manufacturers of algal oil-based supplements, but I can recommend to you a great brand, which is called Nordic Naturals. So unfortunately, my supplement is not vegan friendly or vegetarian friendly, but Nordic Naturals is a great trusted brand that does have an algal-based fish oil supplement. Algal-based omega supplement. The issue with that is that it does not necessarily have all the omegas in it. So you'll have to look at the label and see what it has. But again, I would typically recommend a combination 3, 6, 7, and 9 for dry eye. Okay, now the last question I'm going to answer today is, and I know we've gone almost 15 minutes over, so I'm going to try to keep it short here, do you get, for the course, do you get to keep the recordings for a lifetime of all these events? Is there an option to attend if unable to attend live? Yes, so the recordings are available. They are accessible for life. And as I mentioned earlier, even if you can't attend live, you can always tune into the replays. Yeah, so, okay. So I did mention that if you stay till the end, I would offer a free gift. So this is my webinar gift for you today. The guide to the best dry eye products. There are a lot of dry eye products out there. So, so I'm going to have my assistant put into the chat the link here so you can download it. It's a digital resource, so a PDF. So you can take a look at that if anyone's interested. And so I would also, if you're interested in nutrition, I think somebody had asked earlier about foods that have macular carotenoids. You may be interested in my book, Beyond Carrots, Best Foods for Eye Health A to Z. It did hit the #1 list for ophthalmology and optometry several times on Amazon. So you can take a look at the book. This is the QR code if you wanted to learn a little bit more about nutrition. But what I would say is this is a starting point. The book is a general guide, but if you're interested in specific conditions, again, like dry eye or macular degeneration, then you can consider taking the course. So with that, I wanted to thank you all for joining today. It's been great having you here. I really appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me and my staff. This is our email here, info at my website, which is, actually, this is my old website, but this email is still correct, info at rudranibanikmd.com, or you can give us a call. This is the office number 646-820-2074. So thank you again for joining, and I hope to see you in the course. Take care. Good night.